I'm in. Time for episode number 149 of What Does This Button Do? It's an educational show about smartphones and tablets with us geeks on tour. Our beginner's lesson today is going to be about internet and battery and preparing to be off-grid, but Chris has a quick tip first. What do you have, Chris?
My quick tip. Now, this one is just for RVers. Usually I try to make it general. I know a lot of our viewers aren't RVers, but this one was just pretty cool. And it's because we are using Elks lodges as places to park a lot. We often use the All Stays app, and we've talked about that several times, but I want you to see Our Village. And what is Our Village? It is a social network just for RVers, kind of like Facebook, but just for RVers. And if you use it, you can find the Elks lodges, and I want to show you how. So here, I'm going to do that on the iPad. It's a little bit bigger screen to see.
Ready?
Yep. And I have Our Village in my travel group, and there it is right there. Our Village. And the first thing you notice is that it knows where we are. No, it doesn't. This is what I'm looking for. So right up here, it says your current location, Elks Lodge, Westminster, Colorado. And we told it that. I mean, when we park, one of the first things we do is open Our Village and tell it where we are. And then we can look at that place. It tells us there are 4 other Our Villagers in the park right now. That's pretty cool. I can scroll down and read, and here I posted saying that we were here 4 years ago when we did our first What Does This Button Do show. Is that cool? So I put on the feed for this park that we're doing this live show today. So anybody here that took the time to read this feed, and here's somebody that says, welcome to the park. What space are you in? We're up on the hill. We'd like to meet. So we probably will get together with them this afternoon. That is cool. All right. So then here's the key. One of our next upcoming stops is going to be near Colorado Springs. So I want to know, are there Elks lodges with RV parking in Colorado Springs? Here's how I can find it out using Our Village. I tap the menu and then search. And I want to search for RV parks that are, so search site. I want to search for RV parks that are Elks lodges. So instead of everything, I say RV parks, and in here I put Elks and search. And it first shows me a listing of all the Elks lodges, but no, I want to see it on a map. So there's the map. And I can zoom into Colorado. I see that, yes, indeed, there is one in Colorado Springs. If I tap on it and tap where it says Elks Lodge, Colorado Springs, I'll be able to see the same park feed like I did here and read what people are saying about that park. So here's a bunch of information from Jim and Patty, including pictures. That's real nice. So that's my quick tip, finding Elks Lodge RV parking using the Our Village app.
Very cool. All right, Chris, where are we now?
We are just outside of Denver, staying at an Elks Lodge. It's called the Westminster Elks Lodge. And what I want you to notice in that picture is the cell tower.
Yeah?
We like that. And I'm pretty sure that is Verizon because we are getting really good signal and speeds from our Verizon.
Good to know.
And we were here 4 years ago.
Right. Almost to the day. Well, no. June 30th, August 5th.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was still a long time ago. 4 years of doing these shows. That was episode number 1.
Number 1.
And this is episode number 149. So we've done 149 of these classes where we actually try and teach you, and we learn something ourselves every time.
Always learn. That's the main reason we do it, is because we keep learning.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm curious, what do you think about the fact that we seem to be going to the same places and doing the same thing 2 and 3 times now?
Wow, it's pretty amazing that we've been doing this for that long. Maybe it's time to do something a little bit different. Still has to be travel, still has to be technology, still has to be with everybody out there and with you. So what else can we do?
Well, my push is for more international. That trip to Italy last year was great.
Sure was.
And now we're planning New Zealand and Australia for next year.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll be able to find internet connection and still do this.
And there was one other thing that I wanted to check into, and that's that dive trip to Cuba in July next year with the dive club. I think that would be fun. So let's check it out. But in the meantime, our beginner's lesson, when you're off grid, what to do about connectivity and power. And that was a real issue for us this past week. So we did head to the boonies, and here's some stuff that Chris thinks that you should know.
Well, we're gonna talk about internet connectivity and battery life. First internet, then battery. And there's kind of 2 ways of looking at it. How to prepare, what you should do before you go, and any tips for what to do during. So with internet connectivity, it's your devices that are so important. Do boosters help? And definitely download stuff before you lose connectivity, and then you can work offline. So during, you work offline, you try boosters, but don't expect a whole lot. And sometimes you just need to surrender.
Oh, yeah, we did. We surrendered.
And then with battery life, you need to make sure everything is charged before you go, and you need to have ways to charge them even when you don't have electricity.
Okay.
So connectivity in the wilderness. We didn't see too many of those cell towers in Yellowstone or Grand Tetons.
And the ones we didn't actually give us very good signal, so they may not have been on the plans that we subscribe to. So, but yeah, can it be improved?
Sure.
Yeah.
But not if there's nothing there.
Right.
Right? You have to have some signal, and then boosters can help. But one thing that was really apparent to me this last week is that texting almost always still worked. Texting is a different frequency. I don't know. It doesn't need anywhere as much connectivity.
So low connectivity, we're still able to do some texting.
And Facebook.
Right.
Facebook is pretty lean.
Yeah, it does a good job with low bandwidth, and they do that to be competitive throughout the world.
There was still places where we could get nothing, absolutely nothing. Even texting didn't work.
Right.
Even texting didn't work.
Well, yeah, when there's no signal, even if you have a booster and those boosters do work, you're going to be without luck. Pretty much is how it has to go. All right.
Okay.
So do boosters work? Yeah, but there is a lot to know, and we have some research for you.
Our go-to place is mobileinternetinfo.com. They make it their full-time job to study all these things. And I just want to take you briefly to their page about gear.
Okay.
So here's their website, Mobile Internet Info, or rvmobileinternet.com. And here's their page. And they do have a membership where you can get even more information, but a lot of their information is free for everybody. And if you click on gear, you will see all the different types of gear. So there's mobile hotspots and modems. Here are your mobile cellular boosters, cellular antennas, mobile routers, cellular plans.
They really go in depth on all of these subjects.
They do.
and they have hands-on reviews, and they really know their stuff. And if you have questions about any of this, these are the go-to folks. They have a brand new book out. We've been selling it at the rallies where we go, and it really does come in handy. And maybe it's time to start thinking about a new booster for us.
Yeah, we need to buy something because nothing worked in Yellowstone. But here is all their reviews on specific products.
Right.
And they put them through their paces too.
Man,
so
they give you prices. They don't sell anything. So they are like the Consumer Reports. They know their stuff, and they give you the unadulterated information.
Now, some other friends of ours run a website called Techno RV. Now, they do sell, and they have some cellular boosters. Let me just show you their website quick. Techno RV. And you go to, and We Boost. Now, what's the WE stand for?
That's Wilson Electronics. They've been around for a long time, and they are generally regarded in the industry as the top folks out there. They changed their branding a little bit. It used to be Wilson Electronics, and now it's We Boost. And they do.
But yeah, look at these prices. You got to be kind of serious to...
Yeah, on top of your plan, especially if you have an unlimited plan, it's going to cost you a certain amount of money, and then putting these things on your rig and installing them and getting them installed, however you want to do it. It can be a daunting experience. I like doing that kind of stuff, but I'm a geek, right?
But the right kind of booster can make a world of difference. If you need the internet and you often find yourselves off grid, in the boonies, then you got to do that.
Okay. And they're the folks to know.
Now, another just general thing I think people should know is that newer devices are better. A newer device will have better radios. What do I mean by radios? I'm not talking about listening to music.
No, they're all radios, though. They're two-way radios, and they're the same kind of technology at different frequencies that we've always had for radio. As you get farther away from the transmitting and receiving antennas, as they get farther apart, you start to drop signal. Now, data signal can be very, very persnickety, and it needs to have a good connection. It does try over and over again if it gets an error message, and they're computers, so they're running pretty fast, but it's still behind the scenes, they're radios.
Yeah, so these little phones have several radios in them, right? They
Absolutely.
have a cellular radio, a Wi-Fi radio, a GPS receiver,
right?
And Bluetooth.
And an
That's
NFC,
a kind of radio.
Near frequency. Yeah, there's all kinds of radios in there, and they're getting better all the time, and they have antennas built into these things. Sometimes, all of that stuff is getting smaller too. So
we have seen two people in the same spot with the same phone, but one older and one newer. And one person can get connected to the internet and the other can't.
And that's not unusual. And it's usually the newer phone that does get connected and the older one that does.
Not always. But it seems like I have seen.
Oh, there are exceptions to everything, especially when it comes to this stuff. So, yeah, just know that. A newer device will have better radios, probably, and better batteries. Batteries were a real issue this past week. So, your phones, your hotspots, and your computers, they all have to have good enough technology to make all this stuff work.
And when we talk about devices, we're talking phones, hotspots.
Right.
So if you have an old hotspot from Verizon or AT&T
or T-Mobile,
and you're not getting good results,
it might be time to get a new one.
You very well would have a much better experience with a newer hotspot.
Yep. Don't just say that they're trying to sell you something new. Even though they are trying to sell you something new, it might be to your benefit to get it. So that's my bandstand.
But there are going to be places where you will not have any connection. And you need to download important stuff beforehand. Books, maps, music, movies, guides, to us, the most important thing is maps. And Google Maps can download sections of maps for offline use. And we have one of our little pre-recorded videos for this.
Okay, give me just a second.
Okay.
And I think I'm ready. Here,
Hi, this is Chris Gold with Geeks on Tour. We are currently located in northern Florida, and we are evacuating from Hurricane Irma. I use Google Maps to tell us where to go, and I want to make sure that I have the map I need, even if we lose internet connection. I have a good internet connection now, so I am going to download maps for use offline. You do that by using the 3-line menu at the top left and choose Offline Maps. And select your own map. Now it sees where I am and it shows me an area around where I am. I want more than that. We are going to be going, I pinch the screen until the whole square starts getting smaller. That's how I know I am at the maximum allowed for downloading. And I will put our current location down towards the bottom. So that is giving me pretty much all of Georgia. And I will tap download. It says it will use up to 285 megabytes of your device's space. Okay, I think I have that. And download. Download over mobile network. Yes, my Verizon is good right now. I'm going to let it do that. Now, once this is saved and you start navigating, when you lose an internet connection, it just automatically starts using the downloaded map. So then I can go back and repeat the same process to download the next section of map I want that's over towards the west from Georgia. I hope everybody... Hi, this is Chris Gold with Geeks on Tour. We are currently located in northern...
Hey, come back.
Okay.
I thought I told it not to loop.
So that's downloading sections of a map using Google Maps, which is great, but it's a bit cumbersome. You have to really think ahead, and you have to define the space that you want, and invariably you might miss a section, and that'll be the section when you lose internet connection, right?
Almost always.
So I learned this last week from George. If you read our newsletter, you read the legend of Tioga George, and he is almost always in the boonies. So he told me about maps.me, and I want to show that to you. I'm going to show it to you on the iPad, because the iPad is a great size for navigating. And I have it in my travel group, and there it is, maps.me. And it comes with, you know, the overall map of the United States. But if you want to see any detail, and if you want to navigate, you need to have downloaded the map for that area. But let me show you, it's a bit more easy than in Google Maps. I just tap on Download Maps. Now, you do have to have an internet connection at this point.
Right.
You won't be able to download a map if you don't have an internet connection. So before you get in the boonies, I will say I want to add a map. And, oh, not a different, I do want it in the United States. So I tap United States first. I've already downloaded Colorado and Wyoming, and we did navigate using this app for there. And it was pretty good.
I liked it.
Not as good as Google Maps. Nothing is as good as Google Maps, in my opinion.
I think you're right.
But it did pretty good. Okay, so the next place we're going is Oklahoma. Why are we going to Oklahoma?
We're going to a safari rally in Oklahoma, in Shawnee, Oklahoma. It's just east of Oklahoma City. And Safari is was a manufacturer of quality motorhomes. And they're owned by Monaco now, I think. Anyway, that was the kind of RV we had when we very first started RVing.
Yep.
And
so we still like to go to their rallies.
Right. They invite us. They're a good group. We like those folks. So Safari international.
So here you see Oklahoma, and it says 4 maps. Notice some of them, there, Maine, I guess, only has one map, but most of them are a folder, and you still have to decide. But this is a lot. If I downloaded all 4 of those, I know that I have the entire state of Oklahoma, whereas using the Google Maps offline, it's downloading. And when it's done, we will be able to navigate in the eastern area of Oklahoma, and no problem. And so that is maps.me. Now, another thing I think you should download before losing connection is some entertainment. So videos. When we went to Devil's Tower, we had to watch Close Encounters of a Third Kind. So I made sure to download that first. We do have a Netflix account, and we have an Amazon Prime. So you have to find one that has that movie and that makes that movie downloadable. Let me show you what I mean. If I go to Netflix and just look at, popular on Netflix, let's say I want Orange is the New Black. And I tap it, and I don't see, oh, there. I guess this one is down. If you see a down arrow, it means it's downloading. So there, I could download those. But there are lots of movies. Let's see. And this one is not download. Well, there are episodes too. Anyway, it does need to be downloadable, and you can search. You can search for downloadable. Downloadable movies. And then when you download them, A-B-L-E, and downloadable. And now it's only showing me things that are downloadable. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
You sure?
And same thing with Amazon Prime.
Next thing is conserving battery, and that's something that everybody should know how to do. We carry external batteries with us, and we keep those charged, right?
Yes. So one of the biggest tips we have, and this was in the newsletter too, if you read your newsletter, is airplane mode. Now, airplane mode won't always conserve battery, but if you're in the boonies, if you're in any kind of a fringe cellular area, your phone is working really hard trying to find a signal.
You might even feel it heating up.
Yeah.
And heat is a bad thing for batteries, guaranteed.
So if it's working hard trying to find a signal, putting it in airplane mode stops that.
Yeah, it stops it from looking. It turns the radios off.
Now you might say, but in airplane mode, I can't make a phone call or get emails.
Well, that's absolutely true because the radios are turned off. But if you're in a fringe area, you know you're in a fringe area. You can turn it back on, obviously, to check your stuff. But yeah, if there's no signal, there's no signal, but your phone still works real hard to try and get signal, even when it's out of signal. So that's one thing you have to know.
When you're out of signal, you may as well tell it to stop trying. Okay, so now I do want to demonstrate airplane mode and low power mode on both Apple and Android.
All right.
So on the iPhone, it's a swipe up from the bottom. So here's my iPhone. I just swipe up from the bottom, and you're talking all the way.
Did you start a Netflix?
It looks like I did.
Oh, man.
Okay. Up from the bottom, and there is airplane mode. And now it's turned off all connectivity, and I find that the battery lasts a lot longer when you're in fringe. There's this other thing, though, called low power mode. And in just your settings under battery, you will see low power mode, and you can turn it on manually. This also is telling you what is using your battery here. You can turn it on manually, but it will also automatically prompt you to come on when your phone is down to 20%. And that does things like slowing down the processor, disconnecting all apps so that they don't do any background. But putting it in airplane mode disconnects all apps from doing background searches too, right? Okay. Now on Android, I want to show airplane mode. And it's just a swipe down from the top. iPhone swipes up from the bottom. Android shortcuts. On most all Androids that I've ever seen anyway, have shortcuts at the top. And there is airplane mode. And it tells you here, when you turn on airplane mode, calls and messages will be unavailable. All wireless connections will be turned off. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth can be turned back on. You turn on airplane mode, you turn off the radios. There is also a battery saving mode. If you look at battery and power saving, and battery saver, this one, if you turn it on, it will just automatically go into battery saving mode at 15%. And that is a good thing. And remember that we've already taught battery saving in episode number 96. We recommend you go and watch that.
Episode 96.
96.
Got it.
So just as a kind of a summary, the reason we came up with this topic for today is because for the last couple of weeks, we've been in a lot of national parks and very fringe areas.
Yeah, Yellowstone, Grand Tetons, Thermopolis, Wyoming, and Rocky Mountains National Park. So,
and each one kind of taught us something different, I felt. Yellowstone, there was a little bit of signal. You could do Facebook, you could do text messaging.
A bit.
But we even did put up our cellular booster, and it didn't make any difference for our Verizon.
Didn't seem to, right.
But I still think it would.
Yeah.
We have
a
old
better one,
devices.
We do. We have old boosters, and we have old devices that are trying to take advantage of it. Even though they're working pretty well right here, we have a cell tower right out there. So, yeah.
Yeah, so if I had to live in Yellowstone, I wouldn't give up, but we did not have good luck. 2 o'clock in the morning, you could actually read your email.
Yeah. Well, we have a friend, we were visiting a friend who works up there in Yellowstone, and she has a campsite there where the employees all park, and she's on occasionally, but she's not on more often than not, and it's a hassle. We were off more than we were on. And the next place we went was Grand Tetons, which is just south of there. And we met some friends who flew into Jackson. So we were hanging out in Jackson a lot, and they had good Wi-Fi where they were staying, and we had good Verizon in town there.
And the Elks Lodge had good Wi-Fi.
They did. So when we first got there, we stopped in and had a beer, and we did maybe 2. But we got a lot of work done because we'd just come out of
but the thing I remember in Grand Tetons is we went for a river float. And obviously I want to take some pictures, and it's my iPhone that is my main camera. And we got in the boat, and I looked, and it said down to 20% battery.
Oh my God, you didn't plug it in beforehand.
I thought I did, but I blew it.
All right.
I blew it. I didn't have it charged. So the lesson I learned, though, I put it into airplane mode, then I hadn't had it on earlier, so that's why it got way down. I put it into airplane mode. I put it into low power mode, and then I still was able to take any pictures I wanted, but don't look at them.
because having that screen on for that amount of time and going through those pictures will use up some battery.
It's the screen that takes up the most battery. So don't look at the pictures. Don't edit them. Certainly don't try to share them.
Wait until you get back. And
then Thermopolis, there was not good Verizon, but they had a decent Wi-Fi, which turned into actually good after you put up the Wi-Fi booster.
Right. I have a Wi-Fi booster, and it could pick up the external.
The Wi-Fi Ranger.
And it amplifies it, and then I have everything that I need to connect all the other devices in the rig, and we have a few.
And then the last place was Rocky Mountain National Park. That was nothing. nothing we could, even at 2 o'clock in the morning, there was nothing.
Yeah.
So what did we do there?
We left.
No, well, we only stayed one night.
That's true,
but we only planned to stay. I call it surrender.
We surrendered.
And I
Flew
was
the white flag. We need a little white flag here.
Okay. No email, no websites, no internet, no Facebook. But I still would have my phone in my hand because I had downloaded a book on Kindle.
And you can still take pictures and do other things that we could watch some pre-recorded video if we wanted to. It was great. Be off every once in a while. It's not a bad thing.
It's good to be forced offline once in a while.
Surrender. Surrender, Dorothy. Okay, questions. Let's see what I got here, if that'll work. That might work. Let's try that. All right. Let's see. Can you text without cell towers, or does it wait until you get near a tower? Well, you have to have some signal in order for it to work. The text will queue up on your phone until it gets signal, and then it'll go out. So Bill asks about mesh networks. Mesh networks, that's really the way cell networks work. They're typically meshes, and they hand things off. But mesh networks in Wi-Fi areas is getting to be very popular, and they do work. But there still has to be an internet connection somewhere, and the more internet connections that feed those mesh networks, the better your bandwidth is going to be. So out in the boonies, it's still not going to be so good, and just being able to find one of those. So cooperative Wi-Fi connections, is that like the AT&T and Infinity that you see if you're a member in your devices, if you have an AT&T account or something like that? A lot of home modems will put out another signal that is a guest connection. It doesn't count against your connection or anything like that, but if you have one of these modems, a guest might be able to connect into those.
I wonder if that's what was going on when my T-Mobile phone said that its cellular connection was T-Mobile Wi-Fi.
It could be one of those.
I don't know.
It could be an automatic thing, and just because you have that connection, it works for you. So
still didn't work very well.
No, it worked pretty lousy, as a matter of fact. Several ham radio enthusiasts have been promoting mesh networks from Oregon to British Columbia. Yeah, ham has been around for a long time, and it really is. And it's another radio technology, and they've been using packet switching for years and years. And it is a way that you can get internet. My experience, what little I have, it's been very slow, but it gets the job done, and it's great in emergency situations. So that's my thought on that. All right. How about that? We do invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com and search for Geeks on Tour, and you'll find us there. Remember to subscribe and click on that little bell for getting notifications. Like us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, and go there and give us a review if you think about it. So, Chris, an app of the week. This is something that we used for the past little while. It was Passport, your national parks. And we went to several national parks just this past month, and it's been a wonderful time, and some national monuments too. So the app is compatible with iPhones and Android, so give it a shot. What do you have to say, Chris?
Well, I thought I'd show it. We have the actual passport book where you can get stamps. You go to all the national parks and they have a stamp that you can stamp your book with, like a real passport.
Right, and where is that passport?
Where is that?
I think it's in the
It's
car
in Fort Lauderdale.
But there's an app for that.
There's an app.
That's cool. So that's what we're going to talk about here for the app of the week. And
so here it is. And I'm showing it to you on an Android, but it's available on iOS as well. It's called My Passport. And what we would do, so we would stamp and then take a picture. They give you just these little pieces of paper that you can stamp. So here's Rocky Mountain National Park, and I have put that into my passport. And we can see the visited parks or parks nearby. So here are all the parks that we have visited and added to this passport. And you can put in photos and you get all the information. I think that's pretty cool. So if you left your passport at home, you can get the app and still keep track of all the parks that you've visited.
All right, so that's the app Passport, your national parks. Well, did you learn something? I know I did. How about some questions for you? True or false? It's cheap and easy to get boosters that will get you internet everywhere. What do you
Nah. It does help if you're willing to put in the research and pay the money.
Okay. One really good way to conserve battery when you're in fringe areas: A, airplane mode; B, uninstall Facebook app; C, use black and white color scheme.
Airplane mode is what we were talking about. When you're in fringe areas, it's working hard trying to find a signal, so just tell it to stop.
True or false? All Netflix and Amazon Prime movies are downloadable. True or false?
False.
Okay.
But there are plenty.
Right. What if your phone is very low on battery? You can still take pictures, but don't do what? Share them, view them, edit them, or D, all of the above?
All of the above. But the thing that's hard to train yourself to do is not to even look at them.
Yeah.
You can take the picture, but don't look at them.
All right. Google Maps can store small sections of maps offline. Another free alternative for offline maps is what, Chris?
Maps.me.
Okay. And that's free, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are others, but that's the only one I know of that's free.
True or false? You can read a Kindle book offline with the Kindle app as long as you have purchased the book.
Well, you do also have to download it. That was what that question is about. Just buying it isn't enough.
Right.
You have to go to your Kindle app and download it.
Okay. Good deal. So, Chris, what's the webpage that lists all of our weekly shows?
Geeksontour.com, and the menu item is weekly class.
And the webpage that lists all of our recent newsletters.
It's still geeksontour.com, and then blogs.and news. You'll find our newsletters under there.
And our August newsletter just went out. And if you didn't get it yet, go ahead and look for it here. And
except I don't think I've done that yet.
Uh-oh.
As soon as we finish this,
it did go out. Why do people pay $58 or more a year to join Geeks on Tour?
Because they like technology and like to learn, and they get to ask questions.
A big thing.
That's worth it.
All right. Gaining access to hundreds of tutorial videos, learning guides, and ebooks, and all the written notes from these shows. What does this button do?
And sometimes they don't take advantage of any of that, and they just become a member to say thank you for all the training we give for free.
Isn't that nice?
Thank you.
Thank you. So become a Geeks member.
Because we need to buy a we need to buy a new booster.
We need a weed boost. geeksontour.com/join now. Come on in. Next time, do we have a show next week?
Well, we have no idea where we're going to be and whether or not we'll have good enough bandwidth. So maybe yes and maybe no.
And we'll do our best to find. We're getting back into some
civilization,
right? But we'll be out of civilization for at least.
We're headed to
Durango.
Pagosa Springs.
Pagosa, okay.
Hot springs.
All right, we like hot springs.
And then those sand dunes in Colorado.
Okay. Yeah, and there's a train down in Durango I want to go on. Okay, if you have an idea for a topic for one of these shows, go ahead and put it in the comments here on the YouTube or on our webpage or on our Facebook page or wherever you can find to do it. And that's it for us. I'm Jim.
I'm Chris.
And we are Geeks on Tour. We'll see you next time.
Keep pressing those buttons.
And sign up for our newsletter.
What does this button do?
I don't know. What does this
button? How about this button?
Don't hit that button, please.